Hey YouTube, it's Wisconsin Shoe Guy, and I'm wearing my baseball outfits in commemoration of opening weekend. Of course, I've got the competing team here in my hometown, Chicago. So Cubs in my heart, and of course I was a Sox fan as well. Grew up with the Sox. But today we're here to talk about a shoe battle. And if you've been watching my channel, you know that I've been currently doing shoe battles with the George Cleverley Atom, which is a really very special Adelaide that I've picked up recently. And it's pebble grain, it's cap toe Adelaide, has a medallion. Adelaide is the U throat. It has these beautiful heel caps with the peak on it as well. So this is a semi-brogue shoe and is really a design to be a dress shoe, but this is a confluence of paradox. So you got the pebble grain, which is a casual shoe. You've got the really, really formal sole, which is a dress shoe. And you've got this formal look, which is also a dress shoe, but you have broguing, which makes it a casual shoe. So love it. It just really enhances the collection. I like the lines on it. It's a really nice shoe. But what I wanted to do today was I wanted to compare your prototypical English dress shoe with what I consider to be a very, very well-made, interesting design of a Spanish dress shoe, which is the Carmina, and this is on the Simpson last. Now, this is a custom design. I did this one myself. You've probably seen the videos of it. And a really exciting shoe, has a really nice look to it. This type of thing is really reminiscent of the Cleverley. So if we're gonna look at them side by side, you know, from a last standpoint, got your last here, got your last there. They're both relatively short caps. They both have some texture. You can see they both have medallions, although the medallion on the Carmina is just lightning years ahead of the medallion on the Cleverley. But you can also see the reflection on my screen on both, although it's much clearer on the Cleverley because it's darker. It's also probably waxed better, so that's not necessarily definitive. But what I want to do today is I want to take a look at the two shoes, take a look at the things that I think are important in the shoe, and get your take on what you think is important. So really quick video today, shouldn't be too long. So we talked about what an Adelaide is. So what's important about an Adelaide and how do you decide? Well, there are a couple things that we can look at, right? First things first, everybody talks about the sole, okay? And you have these beautiful soles, right? Carmina is no different. This is also a very beautiful sole. This is the JR sole, which is an upgrade. I've got these, they both have nails at the top, although if you look carefully, you can see the Cleverleys have two rows of small nails where there's one row of large nails on the Carmina, okay? If you look at the waists, this is relatively flat waist on the Carmina. This is a fiddleback waist, really carved out nicely on the Cleverley. They both have blind stitched Goodyear welting, okay? So both very, very fine. If you look at the design in the sole, this is nicely carved out, has the iron and everything on there. Just really finely done. You look here, and it has the same. Also very finely done. Maybe a little bit of additional rounding on the edge here, but not what I'm gonna consider to be significant, right? They both have broguing. They both have the peak on the heel cap. The broguing is pretty tight on both of them. They both have small holes and large holes to make it look like this little rectangular pattern, okay, which you can see probably with varying success here. I'll import some pictures onto this as well so you can see some of those, how they look in the natural light. You can see that this has a little bit of design where the U throat actually comes out a little bit. That is a really nice Carmina touch. It's not here on the Cleverley. Okay, so I think that that's a pretty nice addition to it. And then look at the heel. Okay, very straightforward, kind of a functional design on the heel here. Here, the heel a little bit more artsy, but again, just a couple more nails. The nails are smaller, and it's a little bit, it is beveled, and actually, Carmina is straight. Okay, both 270-degree welds. This is, really finely touched heels. This is obviously a wider heel. It's a wider waist. So there's some differences there. When it comes to price, George Cleverley runs around 550 pounds. You can get some occasionally, very occasionally, you can find a decent deal on them. But generally speaking, that's going to be the framework where you're going to pay somewhere between $550 to $700. Okay. On the Carminas, these are $475. So roughly 400 pounds. So they are significantly less. So let's take a look at some measurements here and see how it measures up. So first things first, let's look at the weld, right? So what I do is I take a look at the top of the weld because you can't see the bottom, and you try to look at the stitch density, which is the number of these bumps here. You can see between my fingers, and that is how many you're going to see per centimeter. And this is pretty much directly 3. So 3 per centimeter. Now, if we look at the Cleverley, do the same thing, look at it, and I can even see that from the video here, it's 3 per centimeter. So it's very, very similar. We look at the top stitch, like right here. I'll just put the thing here. I'm sorry that my other camera is out of juice, otherwise I would record this. But how many stitches are there per centimeter here on the upper? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's really annoying because I just did a review of the other day of my my Lokes, and I didn't think that these were 6. So now I count them and they're 6. Sometimes we need to take pictures and actually prove it to ourselves. But as I look at the Carmina, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it's right on the line of 6. So we'll call it even. Okay. And as we look at other areas of the shoe, I'm looking at roughly the same density. So pretty excited. I will do a video on fit because I do think that that's an important aspect too, just the measurements on the inside of the shoes. But for right now, I'm going to say that from a stitch density, these are pretty equivalent. Now, there was some detail work that are on here, which you can see in the light, where you see that little pattern going along here. Looks kind of like the stitches, but the stitches are further back, and this is all the way on the outside. That's called fudging, okay? And that is a nice detail that they lay on top here. And they have that on the Carmina, but you don't see that on the Cleverley. Now, I would venture to guess that you don't see that on the Cleverley because it is a design attribute. This has nothing to do with quality. This is something they decide to do, and I know Cleverley does it. But I believe that they don't do it on this because it's in pebble grain and it's not as formal. But that is an assumption on my part. And so I'd be welcome to hear your feedback if you own a pair of the Cleverley Adams in a smooth leather, whether they have the fudging on them. So that is another aspect as well. Now, so shoe battle, which one wins? I'm gonna have to say that I like the sole better on the Cleverley. I really do, but for the price differential, I'm gonna have to give it to Carmina. Carmina is a much better value. If I look at the spectator aspect of the Carmina, the fact that I use different leather for the vamp versus the rest of it, I'll discount that just because that was a choice that I made when I had these made, and they're available obviously lots of different ways. So that's not a decision really on the shoe, but I'm going to say that I like the last This is the Simpson last. And George Cleverley doesn't say what last they are. As I was reading in forums, they used to be on Crockett and Jones lasts because I believe they're made in the factory and they didn't really want to have that out there. So I think that they use their own lasts now because these don't look exactly like Crockett and Jones, but I'm not sure. I'm going to say that I like the look of this slightly better. If we look at the toe here versus the toe here, I like the fact that this comes down a little bit more. I like that better. So it really, at the end of the day, it's a toss-up. And so when it's a toss-up, if I'm looking purely at the shoe and I'm not reflecting price, fiddleback waist, narrower waist, I love that more. It feels different when you wear it. A little bit of the taper on the heel also feels good. So I prefer that. Now, pound for pound, dollar for dollar, euro for euro, I give it to the Carmina because the Carmina is just a fantastic shoe and it is a bit cheaper. So this is Wisconsin Shoe Guy. Thank you for watching. I hope you found that beneficial. And again, apologies that I was not able to use my other camera. Thanks. Bye.